Welcome back to this Jack. We just got the third episode of I'll Become a Villainess Who Goes Down in History, and it's filling a lot of the same beats as the previous two, which, yes, I have not done a review of the previous ones. It honestly just struck me to start doing these kind of videos as I'm watching these animes and giving my thoughts on them, and that way y'all can go back and laugh at them. So anyway, with that being said, I have not read any manga or web novel about this. I'm going off the top of my head of what I have seen, and I usually watch the episodes multiple times because I've got nothing better to do. Go ahead and call me a loser, I don't care. Anyway, I am also horrible at names. Give me a break. The main character, she is still doing the tsundere hero thing where she's like, I am a villain, but proceed to watch me do good things. And it's kind of funny. As an example, she starts mastering dark magic, which, she gets pretty good at fast. Like, she starts learning to clean things with dark magic, which I don't understand dark magic being used to clean things. Usually it's like light magic, it's associated with it, but whatever. And she learns how to, she shows an example of her cleaning a pillowcase with it, and it's considered level 10. Level 25 would have cleaned the whole well of this village that she's at, and she wants to do that. So, you're not being a very good villain, and the way she semi-justifies it to herself later on is there's a kid that she saved in the previous episode. He wakes up and she actually talks to him, and he just doesn't want to deal with people anymore because, he's being abused and kind of doesn't want to be around people anymore. So her response is, well, why don't you just go ahead and die? Which honestly is actually a really good villainous response, but she is able to turn it in such a way that it motivates him to keep going. And she says, the only reason I'm being kind to you is because I feel you'll be a valuable resource. So she's still doing that tsundere hero thing. That's the only way I can describe it. Now, we are introduced to a couple of things. One, we actually do meet the heroine of the game she got pulled into. We'll get into that in a second. But we're also introduced to the concept of a deviant. Now, you and I hear deviant, we think of different things. But in the context of this world, it is somebody who is exceptionally powerful or someone who's far outside the norm. Now, in the world, there probably is an example of why that's a big deal. This person's destined to become the demon lord or something like that. I don't know. But what it says to me is, this is a video game. This is a person who's acting outside of the norms of the video game. That's all that really means to me. But it's a big enough deal that that's the reason why they didn't want her to take the sword test or anything like that, because they are trying to stop her from standing out too much because then she's marked as a deviant. Unfortunately, she ends up doing that anyway. Get to that in a second. We also discover that a person who tries to use too powerful magic than they're ready for can have their magic go wild and can result in usually them losing access to their magic. And and usually that's why people starting magic too young or too talented might actually be watched more carefully, because the idea of they're egotistical, they don't understand better, and they use their magic and she actually came close to doing that at one point, not gonna lie. Now let's move on to who's supposed to be the female protagonist of the video game. It is actually specifically said that the character actually had no name in the game, and she also had no avatar, because it was supposed to be a self-insert. So the main character didn't recognize her on sight. It's like, wait, that name doesn't sound like any of the noble families. Who the hell are you? That kind of thing. And she's like, oh, I'm a commoner who got brought in on scholarship. Oh, okay, you're the protagonist. Got it. Okay, cool. And I do want to point out, these two look a lot alike. There's a massive age difference between the main character and all the other characters, which is really weird. Usually they're about the age of the kings, princes, whatever, the most powerful of them's girlfriend, ex-fiance or current fiance, and then she's an evil witch, all that good stuff. She's about their age. But this one, she's 5 years younger than all the other characters who were supposed to be in the same game at the same time. So how is she supposed to be the villainess in the original game? That's something that's actually irking me, because there's actually a lot of animes that have been doing weird things with age gaps. I'm not going to get into that just right now, because that's another one. Several things happened all at once, and I've been saving up for this point. Up to this point, she had been hiding the fact that she is able to use magic. She's been practicing very openly, and I don't know how the others didn't notice this, but she has been practicing magic, and it's been a secret, somehow. And she gets pulled into this meeting with the other kids, and they're like, hey, we're having this school festival stuff, and we want to, make the kids all happy and stuff. What can we do? And being the villainess, she has her weird back and forth in her head, which is hilarious in its own way. But eventually she says, you know what? She's a commoner who's supposed to be humble. How about we challenge her to do something she wouldn't do, which is show off your power, since you're supposed to be the heroine who can use all magics. So she basically says, why don't you just put on a show of you using all your magic, all the different elements, because no one else can do that. And she's like, oh, that's a great idea. Red flag number one for me. Red flag number two is the main character says, I don't like you, to the heroine. And everybody goes to the heroine's defense automatically, which you kind of expect. And she's like, but I'm sure if we talked long enough, we'd become friends. Red flag number two. So I've gone over 2 red flags. There's a third red flag that really screams something's off about the heroine. Get to that in a second. The whole meeting ends with, the whole party comes to an abrupt end when the main character snaps her fingers and summons flowers over to herself to give to the heroine, to basically saying, shut the F up. I don't want to talk to you. Because she'd been asking her inane questions for like 3 hours. And that immediately killed the mood. Everybody's like, wait a minute. Your 10-year-old sister just used magic. You're not supposed to be able to use magic until you're 13. Something's off here. And it wasn't a low-level spell either to be able to do that. So, it's quickly addressed that she is recognized now as a deviant. And what they're going to do is they're going to fast-track her going to the school. Instead of being at, like, I think 15 was they're supposed to go in, she's going to go in at 13. So she's got 3 years to get her powers under control to make sure she doesn't go haywire with her powers and is able to be, controlled. During that 3 years, at some point, the heroine does that, is practicing for that show and loses control of her powers and almost loses it. She gets saved by some of the teachers and they're able to keep her under control and all that good stuff so she doesn't lose her magic. And so this is where the red flag, yellow flag, comes in. So the main character is allowed to go into the school, given by the king, proclamation, you're allowed to go to the school, and secretly you're, by the way, the watcher to the heroine because something's off. Now, that's not a red flag. I don't care about that. That could actually just be a red herring. What's the red flag to me is she was supposed to be this humble commoner who doesn't understand she's got part of a prophecy, and she's invited to this nobleman's school full of nobles. And she's being treated nice by all these super high-level noble families. And she has a reason to want to show off. And she does. Or tries to. And fails horribly, almost losing the one thing that made her valuable. The one thing that made her important enough to be in this nobleman's school was her magic. I think she's going to go dark and twist it pretty damn quickly. Like, we're going to start seeing cracks in that smiling facade that she has. And I feel it's a facade because she says, oh, I'm sure if we talk long enough, we'll be friends. That feels like somebody who knows that their voice has a charm effect by default. So, once again, not seen any manga, not read any web novels or anything like that. This is just stuff I'm going with from what I've seen in it and kind of the feeling I'm getting. So, that's just me. Anyway, thoughts, comments, concerns, theories, whatever. Comment section down below. Like, subscribe, share, all the things I'm supposed to say as a content creator, and see you in the next one.